Hi, and welcome to another informal or non-lecture project-based piece of Intro to Game Programming. We're talking about the action or resource button or resource management aspect of the project that we've been talking about. We're creating this sort of this adventure game, which is supposed to be sort of a one-screen adventure, right? So in the game, you kind of walk around and you're looking for an object sort of in the dark. It's mostly supposed to be by text and action and by audio, but there's this requirement about having some sort of action button or managed resource. So let me explain what I mean by that. Now, in this game, in this particular version that I've created, I created this flashlight. And the flashlight, the idea behind that is that I can see my character, my player, my object, that's the thing that moves around, as long as the flashlight is turned on, right? And the flashlight has a certain amount of charge to it. So you'll see as I start to move that the battery level starts to go down, right? If I turn that off and I move around, I'm still moving around and I'm hearing, I'm interacting with things. I can hear, I can see, I feel warmer, I hear something in the distance. I know how many moves I have, but I can't see where I am, around the whole game. So that's the idea behind this flashlight or battery. So I turn it on, uses up another uh, charge, and I can kind of see, okay, there I am. Turn it off again, maybe here. Oh, I know I bumped into a wall. Let me see, where am I? Okay, there I am. Right, and it moved. It used that up, and it well, it didn't affect my score. So I have the score like if I move while the battery's on. Oh, it did. Well, there's a bug, I guess, in terms of like how many moves it winds up using. Anyway, I'll let you figure that out. So anyway, that's the idea behind this. So there's a number of charges in our battery, and when the battery is or the flashlight is turned on, you get some additional action or some additional feature, and then you have to manage this resource. Now, it could be, if you wanted to, you could say, okay, my managed resource is going to be some kind of superpower. I'm going to allow 3 bursts of energy. And what happens when you have a burst of energy? It tells you, are you near anything, or something like that, or it tells you, are you close to the wall? I don't know. You could come up with some kind of thing. So instead of being a toggled sort of thing, you might have like a button, and you say, how many uses do I have left? So every time you press that button, it would subtract 1 from the number of uses and perform some sort of action to say like, okay, I scared all the zombies that were near me. Right? So if you hear, you could do something like, okay, there's a zombie noise. And as you get closer to it, you don't want to touch it, because if you touch it, you die and you lose the game. So you might get close, hit that button, and then that would like dispel the zombies that were nearby or something like that, right? So you could have zombies that were active unless they'd heard that button, right? So that's the sort of thing that we're looking at. So let's go over to the new scene and first kind of talk about this toggle button here. And I want to say, okay, how do we use toggles? That's kind of a cool thing to be able to turn that on and off. And this is a little bit of a hint to future things. There's this notion of state, right? So the toggle is in the toggled state. It's on or off state. And you might have your game work differently depending on what state it's in. Okay, so that's going to be a common thing. We're going to hear about state machines and states and so on. So that's a concept you're going to hear throughout. And it's not just a gaming programming kind of thing, this idea of state machines, but it is something that we use quite a bit, especially like, you might have an AI or an enemy that's in the frightened state or the chasing state or the idle state or things like that. You'll see that in animations as well. We'll get into that in the future. So anyway, we have this toggle state. This toggle, and I want to do something with it. So let's try to manage that. And I have on the game manager, I have that script. So I'm going to use that one because it's convenient. Okay, and I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to create, now in here already, there is the start. This is all the stuff in my game because that is my game manager. And you'll see in here I do have I think I have, oh, you know what? No, this is a different project that doesn't quite have all that. Okay, that's fine. So imagine then, we'll go ahead and we'll create that, that method. It's in the class, right? So here's what I want to do. I want to say, all right, void or maybe public void, because I want this to be able to be visible to the Unity editor. I want it to be visible to that button and be able to add it to that state, that toggle. This will be called toggle light, something like that. And that's a method now. So it's basically sort of a function that's going to be, we say public void. That's better, right? It's not valid for this item. What do you mean it's not? Why wouldn't it be? Maybe the local function, the modifier public is not valid for this item. Bool state. Why would that not be? All right, let's copy this. And let's see, maybe we're putting it in some odd place. So let's come up here, make sure that's interesting. I must have put it outside of the scope of my class. So sometimes that will happen. So here I am within my class, and I have now, let's scroll around, sorry. Where did it go? It is toggle light. So there's my function. And I should put something in here saying, handle the light toggle and manage the lighting resource that lets the player see. Okay, I want to do some, I want to have some things in here that kind of explain what's going on. And for now, I'm just going to do the simple thing, toggle, or we're going to print the state. Okay, and we'll put some description here. Toggle state is, and we end a quote, and we say plus, so I'm concatenating this. It's going to do an implicit conversion to some sort of string value here because it knows print wants to see a string. And so if I press save, now I can come over here. I'm going to avoid the problem. I'm going to just say, okay, toggle, that's the thing I want to change. So toggle, I select it. I'm going to add that function to this list. So the object that it's on is, I go to the scene, let's look for the game manager and the game manager script or class, and toggle light is the one I want to deal with. Now you'll notice this dynamic bool, toggle light, versus static parameter, toggle light. Okay. Now since this takes, a toggle has a value, imagine it was a slider, I could say, okay, pass the value of that in as opposed to some static or defined value. So if I said game manager toggle bool, you'll see it has this checkbox here. And that will be the parameter that gets set or sent to my function. Now that was useful in the case of our scene management where I had to give it a name of a scene. But in this case, I want it to send the value of that toggle. So instead, I want it to be the static, or excuse me, the dynamic version of that function. And you'll notice that went away, that little checkbox, because now it's going to send the value of that check. Okay, so that's set. I hit play, come over to here, and I toggle the button. Toggle is true, toggle is false. You see that changing up there. So it's doing the right thing. Okay, now, all right, so that's happening, and in here, in my code, in my game manager, you see it is toggling the toggle state. Now, there's something else that we could see. Now, watch this. This is kind of cool. So we see the state coming in. Now, you could also say, and I'm just going to do this quick here, bool ttemp for toggle temp. Just keep that. And I'll say ttemp equals GameObject dot find, and it's toggle2. I want to find toggle2. So I find that GameObject find toggle2. And then I want to say, all right, get component. And as long as I already have, yep, I have using Unity Engine UI, I can say get component toggle. Okay. And now I can say is active. Okay, or is on. That's the better one. Is on. Okay. Now this will tell me what the value currently is. So, whoops, there we go. Toggle component is on is temp. Okay. I say okay a lot in these. I hope you don't mind. Come over to here, and we hit play, and you'll see that the two are synchronized because it changes the value, sends it in, and they are changing together. So, why did I tell you that? Why did I point that out? Well, you may very well want to reference that from other portions of your code. So you could have the option where you could say, all right, when this toggle light function is called, I set some value. And I would set the value in my class to be bool flash state, for example. And then I would say, okay, when it changes, oops, where are we here? Scroll, toggle light. There we go. I could say, okay, flash state equals state, right? And then I could refer to that anywhere else in my code if I wanted to. Flash state, say, flash state. Or if I wanted to, and I didn't want to manage that as my own bool, I didn't want to create a variable for that in the class, I could just go ahead and refer. Whoops, that's my mouse button. I could just go ahead and refer to that field within that component on that game object if I wanted to. So you have an option there. All right. So that happens. And then you could say, okay, now in my movement function, like where is a movement function? Is it like down in here? Tests? No. Well, if I had something, I would say, all right, in here, let's see, play sound. Oh, that moved me around. So I could do something where say, okay, press me. Oh, we'll put a function on press me. So say this. I'll have another function called public void look around. That's the name of my function. Look around. All right. And I could say print. I'm going to want to print something. I could say, it's dark. Else print you can see ... Okay, so you'd see something. So we would say if flash state, or if, in this case, we would say if not flash state. Right? And just to be safe, I'm going to put some parentheses, some curly braces, rather, around these things here. So now I have something under state that says, okay, if the flashlight is not turned on, it's dark. Otherwise, you can see. And then I might also want to say, okay, well, you looked around, but this should also change the number of charges or do something because I'm using up this resource. Okay? And I'm going to say, let's see, how did I, oh, well, this was the thing where I said dir text. So let's change dir text here. And we'll say, you've used up plus chances. I don't know. Something weird like that. And, or maybe we would say, oops, that's not plus there. Space there and a plus there. That looks better. You've used up. Whoops, I don't need that. Oh, you know, this is not good. I can't do this, can I? All right, here we go. Get this right. Does that work? Does not exist. Oh, well, I don't have chances yet. All right, so, or you say you have chances remaining. And we're going to say chances minus minus, or minus minus. So we're going to subtract 1. Every time you use this, you're going to subtract 1. So let's keep track of chances up here. And we'll say, it's another one. Public int chances equals 4. All right. Go back over here. Whoops. Public void. Oops. All right. I need another. What happened here? Not that. There we go. All right. Clear that. And go to button 2. Oh, hello Unity is on there. Well, let's do this. We're going to add both. You can add more than one function on there. So why not? Game Manager. And Game Manager, look around. All right. So we hit play. Nothing, but it's dark. Still, it's dark. Now I press it. You have 3 remaining. Now that was weird, right? Because somehow it didn't know that it was already checked, that it came into the game with it not checked. Now why is that? Well, because no function got called as a result of that. There was no setup for that, right? It didn't know that it was already checked. It didn't already know what the flashlight state was. If you come into your code, you'll actually see, okay, flash state. I never set flash state to anything. Flash state was just, where is it here? Flash state, bool, flash state, nothing. All right. So it had no idea that the flash state was already on. So what we should probably do here in our start routine, which is what happens when the game starts up, is we should say flash state equals something. And here's the clue. Here's where we came back, remember? We said, all right, in that toggle, I was able to find that value. So I'm going to use that to say, all right, now I know what the initial state of that toggle is. And I'm setting flash state right here in start to do that. Okay. So now, I'll save. And you will see that if I press me, okay, I have 3 remaining, right? Because it knows the state of that now. And I turn that off, press me, nothing. Turn it on, 1 remaining, 0 remaining. And you'll notice it keeps going down and down and down and down, which is no good. I don't want that to happen. I should only be able to get to 0. So what do I do? How do I do that? Okay. How do I limit that? So somewhere I'm going to say, all right, where was that thing that used up chances here? I'm going to say, all right, chances there. And I want to say, okay, because chances was decremented, I would say if chances less than or equal to 0. Okay, so the number of chances, you have no more chances, you shouldn't be able to look around. So I could come down here and, or come, where's my, not look around, not play sound, toggle light. I could toggle the light and set that to turn it off if I wanted to. Right? So when I do that, I'll say toggle light here. So if chances go to 0, toggle light false. So that will turn the light off if I have no more chances left. So therefore, the moment this happens, I turn it off. And I should say, down in here, toggle light, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So now, instead of just looking at what this is set to, I actually want to do this. I want to say, okay, and in some cases this will be redundant, but I want to say is on equals the state that's coming in. All right, so I'm going to wind up getting rid of all this, and I'm going to say, all right, whoever calls this function, whatever calls this method, is going to set the state of flash state. That's going to get set. And then it's going to make sure that the toggle is turned on or off, depending on what that is. Right? So it's going to come in and do that. Right? So that's one piece of the problem. So now, if I come in here and toggle is on and I say press me and I get to 0, you'll notice to turn that off. But I could turn it back on again. So that's a bug. Right? So I'm almost there. So let's look at this. Let's say, go in our code and say, all right, where's the problem? What I'm allowing to have happen is that somehow this toggle light is allowing state to go positive if I don't have any chances left, which I don't want to let it do. So I could say if chances less than or equal to 0, state equals false. I'm forcing this to be false if I don't have any chances. So even if the player tries to turn it on, somebody tries to turn it on, the first thing I do is I check. Do they have any chances left? If not, force it to be false. Okay. So here again in my game, press me, 0 remaining. Target on, turn it on, try to turn it on. Can't do it because it says, okay, chances are 0. Look over here in the game manager, chances 0. Now let's change that. Say 3. Press me. Toggle isn't turned on. Let's turn it on. 2 remaining. 1 remaining. 0 remaining. Okay? So that's the idea behind the toggle, and I think I've gone on long enough with toggle, so maybe I'll talk about action a little bit in a separate video. So we'll leave that one as that.